Hello and welcome. Today I'd like to share a tutorial with you using Sebastian the Seahorse from Lavinia stamps. And this is the card that I'm going to make. I start with a piece of 15 centimetre square multifarious card and using a white circle stencil. I'm using a metal one, but you can use whichever one you have. Place it in the centre of my card, and then I'm going to hold it in place using low-tack tape. I'm going to put tape on all four edges of my card so that I don't get any stray ink onto the white areas of my card. Once I've done this, I'm taking my blue Paradise VersaFine Clear and my blue makeup brush that I use just for blue inks, gently tapping off onto my craft mat the excess ink. I'm gently bringing the ink onto my card in 3 random areas. And I think I'll do it over there in the top left hand area. Okay. Then I'm going to use my pink, Charming Pink. I'm going to brush through and then dab off the excess, and using the same, gently with circular motion, adding my colour to my card. Covering all the white areas. There we go. Oh, I'm going to use that. Then I'm going to take my Elegance stencil. I'm going to place it over the top, and then continuing with my pink VersaFine Clear ink, I'm going to gently rub over my stencil. And then I'll gently rub over just down here on the right hand side and towards the left hand side at the bottom. Okay, perfect. And before I remove my stencil, I've taken my Jelly Roll pen and clear ink. And I'm just drawing around my circle. And then I'm going to remove my low-tack tape. And my stencil. There we go. Now next I'm going to stamp with my sea algae stamp, which is this one from Lavinia Stamps. But first, because I don't want it to come onto the white area, I'm going to use some low tack masking tape and just mask off around my circle where I'm going to use my stamp, just to keep my white area white. I'm going to use my stamping platform. The magnets fell apart yesterday. I'm going to take my CLD. I also have a piece of card that I'm just going to place at the bottom, just to make sure. Okay, so my first area for stamping will be just here. And I'm using VersaFine Clear Morning Mist. Gently tapping my stamp. Not happy with that mark there because I don't want that to go onto my card, and then I'm just going to stamp that down, pressing nice and firmly. Leaving it in place for a few minutes or so, and gently lift, and there we go. And then using a piece of acetate, because there's ink on my stamp, I'm going to place I don't want it so as high as that one, so I'm going to place it a little bit lower down, and I'm just going to pick up my stamp there, and then ink up my stamp again by gently tapping with my ink pad. Oh, that was a bit silly, wasn't it? To remove the acetate. So I'll gently put that back there. I did turn my acetate over so my ink, the ink from the acetate won't go onto my card. And I'll gently tap my stamp again and then press down in the area where I'd like it to go. Making sure you press down by that masking tape. A little bit more. This is why it's good to use a stamp platform. If you're, you can bring that down a little bit actually. I think it's in the way more than anything. And try again. There we go. Okay. And there we have that area stamped. So I just put my press away. Clean this ink up, cover up my ink pad a minute. And there we go. I'm going to peel off the low-tack tape. And place that in the bin because it has some ink on it. And there we are. So far. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our bubbles. Our Sea Bubble stamp, which is also from Lavinia Stamps. I don't mind if only parts of this come out. So I'm going to use an acrylic block for this. Once again, I'm stamping in grey. I'm going to stamp using the second generation. So I'm going to stamp onto my spare piece of card, which I'm then going to place down there. I'm going to stamp some bubbles coming up that way. And then I'm going to stamp some bubbles coming that way. I think I might redo that area. There we go. I really like this stamp. I think it makes lovely bubbles. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp Sebastian. So once again, I'm bringing back my stamping platform. I'm going to place my card in the centre. And take my Sebastian stamp. As you can see, this is a very well loved stamp. It gets used quite a lot. I'm going to place my stamp in the centre and press down to hold him in place. I'm going to stamp Sebastian, I should say ink Sebastian up with some VersaFine black onyx. Gently tapping, making sure the whole stamp is covered with ink. And then I'm going to lift and place. And pressing down nice and firmly to make sure that Sebastian stamps onto the card nice. Just hope the whole of Sebastian comes out. That should do the trick. And there we go. As you can see, this is absolutely beautiful. Remove my stamp. Remove my card from my stamping platform, and there's the lovely Sebastian. The next thing we need to do is to stamp our sea tangle. and that's the biggest. It's exactly the same pattern as the sea algae, but it's sort of called sea tangle, and it's absolutely beautiful. And we're going to quickly give Sebastian a little blast with the heat tool. Sorry, it's the noisy one. Hopefully now we won't get any smudges. So we're going to bring our stamp platform back into play. And we're going to put our card up here. And we're going to stamp a little bit too high. Stamp about there. Put that in place. And once again we're going to use, I think actually I should do it the other way around because I forgot this is here. So we'll just turn the card around. That's how I broke them yesterday. By getting them too close to each other. That's better. That's better. Yes, that's much better. And we'll stamp a sea tangle just here on the left hand side. Much better, much more sensible. And using our VersaFine Onyx Black, gently tap our ink onto our stamp, and then stamp our image onto the left hand side of the card. There we go, beautiful. Take my stamp off. I can now put my stamp platform away. We're now going to heat emboss this part here using clear embossing powder. I'm just going to gently hold it over that area. Putting the excess back in the pot. And then heat blast with our heat tool. And there we go. Bend our card. The card will flatten out again. So that's now for the embellishments of our card. I have used some sparkle pens. So I have two, a blue and a pink, to match the background. And I just gently rub my sparkle pens onto my mat, and I get a thin paintbrush, spray some water onto my craft mat, and then just gently pick up my sparkle ink and colour in the larger areas of this card, of this stamp. I find painting images very therapeutic. Oops. I'm rushing a little bit because I know time on the video will be passing. So you can like really take your time doing your painting. It's very therapeutic. And then clean that brush, and then using the blue ink, mixed in with a bit of water, I'll do the circle areas in blue, or you could do it vice versa. There we go. And once again, I took my clear pen and over these areas I just gave Sebastian some sparkle, and some lines to highlight the body parts. I think I'll add just a hint of colour just to this area here where he's white. There we go. And then I also highlighted these areas to make them stand out more. The same way as the large one there. Pink on the large areas, and then wipe my brush and blue in the circled areas. I hope you've enjoyed my first video. This is the first video I've ever done. I was very nervous, and the last thing I did was just with the bubbles is to highlight the bubbles with white. go. One more there. Okay, and that's the finished card. And I just mounted it up onto this, onto an 8 by 8 inch card. Thank you for watching. I hope to be back soon with another tutorial for you. Thank you very much.